my friends, if you would for a bit, a debate in which you will have to admit disagreements abound and tempers get frayed. What's the greatest invention that ever was made? Some say the computer, the wheel, it's been said, and then there's the airplane, or even sliced bread. But no, the world's greatest invention, as I now will reveal, was Mr. Bombardier's 12-lane snowmobile. I don't know where it all came from, but I can tell you that I guess the magic ingredient was moving back here, because we were up on the mainland for 20 years, and within about a year and a half I was somehow started writing recitations. So I think it's in the air here, or the water or something, I don't know. Well, my name's Dave Padden, and I do recitations, which is a sort of a traditional form around these parts.
Well, I play accordion and fiddle, and that's how this all started. And I always had in the back of my mind that I'd like to write songs. It's always a story.
Well, my name is Kelly Russell, and I've been a musician, primarily a fiddle player, for about 38 years now. I've also been involved in storytelling, inspired by my dad, who was a great storyteller and author years ago. What I love about storytelling, they're a window through which we can look and see the past in Newfoundland.
So I grew up in, I suppose you'd call it the trapper lore and culture. This involved a lot of time in small cabins and whatnot, talking to some of the old trappers who always had fantastic stories. They weren't always, I suppose, absolutely true, but that didn't matter. I guess things get embellished a bit over the years, because really it was a larger than life sort of a lifestyle that these old fellows lived. They did things that we can't conceive of now.
My father first started telling stories about Pigeon Inlet around about 1951. He knew had heard all these stories years ago from working in rural Newfoundland. He often said he could remember, the fishermen sitting around. They would entertain themselves singing songs and mostly telling stories.
But in some places, I guess, well, I've heard that, nobody had an instrument. So even if you couldn't play music, you could always tell stories, or you could make up recitations. As I understand it, somebody would make up a recitation about somebody from the other side of the harbor that they had a bit of a rivalry with, or didn't quite like, so they'd make up a not very complimentary story, which would go into rhyme, and then probably that person would make one up as retribution.
The combination of music and stories that I do, I think probably my original inspiration for that was fiddler Emile Benoit, because Emile would always, when he played a tune, he would always precede it with a little story about, this is how I came to make up this tune. It puts a whole new dimension on the piece of music. So the story adds to the music. The music also adds to the story. Now, I personally can't vouch for the truth of all of Grandpa Walcott's stories, on account of how most of them happened before my time. All I can say is that Grandpa is as truthful a man as you'll find in Pigeon Inlet. And that's why, today, I don't think I can do better than tell you Grandpa's story about the geese. Newfoundlanders saw themselves in the characters of Pigeon Inlet. Every community had a Grandpa Walcott. Every community had a Jethro Noddy, the hang-ashore, the lazy guy. That's why we love our own songs and music and our stories, of course, because they're about us.
Most of our audiences are of an age, they're, say, 30 to 40 and older, right? A lot of gray heads when we perform. I can remember when traditional music here, nobody paid a lot of attention to it. There was a hardcore that did. We're indebted to them for keeping it alive.
Jukeboxes did a lot of damage back when they first came out. But apparently, that's when all the square dances stopped and all the live music stopped, because that's when country western became Newfoundland music.
I can remember when TV first came to Northwest River anyway, and mixed feelings about that great leap in progress. That kind of killed everything, You don't have much idle time. Kids now, I think everything's very structured, you got hockey, or you got ballet, and then you got this, and then you got that. You need a bunch of idle time to just be farting around out in the backyard and just watching things happen. And so you get together a collection of anecdotes that you can weave into a story later on in life.
Doing the inshore fishery anymore, that doesn't happen. There's nobody keeping sheep and goats, and so there's no King David, the billy goat that's in the stories. There's the grandpa Walcots are gone. It's like my dad said, he stopped writing about Pigeon Inlet in the late 1950s, early 60s. He was asked why did he stop writing about it. He said, well, I wrote about it while it was there. He said, Pigeon Inlet is not there anymore, it's been resettled.
So traditional recitation, that virtually disappeared. Lots of people had the ability then, I think. Lots of people could do this. And not so many now. I wish I had more opportunities to do my stuff in front of young people, because they're in a difficult position. Now there's too many distractions in society, and it's way easier to sit around and watch television. And maybe things go in a wave, and it's on the resurgence now. So I hope it does come back and gets stronger. I think it will.
But I love to tell the stories because, well, first of all, it's great to make people laugh. It's a really good feeling when people enjoy something and laugh. More so than songs and music, you're really taken back into Newfoundland of a whole different era. And it's great to be able to share that with people and have people feel that they've caught a glimpse of what it was like years ago. Well, tourists come to Newfoundland, they're not coming for the sunshine and the beaches, they're coming to experience the culture. They know that Newfoundland has a unique culture and that we're a bit different than the rest of Canada and the rest of the world for that matter. We have something unique here.
And St. John's Sunway is just a big outport, So you'll go here and there and you'll see these thriving hubs of culture and heritage and so forth. And it all bodes well for the future, I think. We have the ability to make fun of ourselves, and I've always thought that the sign of a mature culture is the ability to make fun of yourselves. In some parts of the world, they take themselves pretty seriously. To me, that just means, they got a ways to go. So you have to be able to laugh at yourself, I think. Especially here, this is not such a bad day, but we do have some awful weather to contend with, so what are you going to do? Sit around and be morose all the time, or are you going to make up jokes about it? You may as well. Fog, said Uncle Jim. Don't be talking about fog. We were stopped, having a lunch, sitting up on a log. We were out in the woods for a few sticks to burn, and visibility was dropping, but there was no big concern. He said, where I'm from in Dunsko, the fog gets that thick, there's no good in going wooding, my son, you wouldn't get a stick. You can cut all you want, but the trees won't come down. They get hung up in the fog and can't reach the ground. I feel kind of lucky that the stories I suddenly started telling happened to be funny and not sad, Although I'm a great admirer of people who write a good sad story too. That's an art in itself, But I enjoy telling the funny ones. I love seeing people laugh.
Well, I don't think storytelling will ever really die. In my opinion, and I've said this over the years a number of times, that I think storytelling is the original art form. Storytelling is the first, form of entertainment. Before they could figure out how to sing a song, they were telling stories. They had to have been. So I don't think it's going to be lost. I think it's perhaps on the rise.
There's always a common bond. There's something basic to human nature about stories. It's in our evolution. It's in our biology, I guess. So I think it's something we all got in common. We like to tell them. We like to listen to them.